Wanting to give something back to hip-hop, Legs revived the Rocksteady crew, now 75 members strong and approaching their 21st anniversary. Legs hopes to inspire a new generation of hip-hoppers, including his 2-year-old son, Richie.
He's my biggest inspiration right now. So I definitely had to make sure I work hard and get my hustle on and do what I got to do, because I want to make sure he has a lot more opportunities than I have had. Some people made it, some people didn't. And the people that didn't make it, their deaths are what inspired me to continue doing something positive and get involved with a lot of community outreach programs and try to inspire the youth or give them a little bit of what I have and see if they could utilize that to make their lives better.
Next, move over, Puff Daddy. The original bad boys of hip-hop are back on the block. Stay tuned as the legendary beatnut Psycho Les takes us into the underworld of hip-hop. Stay tuned. She was once mistakenly credited with inventing rap. She's a famous modern rock new wave artist who did a rap song in the early 80s. Who was this famous singer, and who was the rap artist she did the song with? Was it Deborah Harry, Patti Smith, or Madonna? The answer when Viva returns. While she didn't invent rap, she topped the charts in the 1980s.
And you don't stop, sure shot, go out to the parking lot.
Deborah Harry of Blondie recorded the hit song Rapture with Grandmaster Flash.
She was one of the first rappers that was really popular, and you know, I don't know if people really realize that.
There's no sin in this.
Recently, Blondie released their first CD in 16 years.
When we had this rap song about, you know, sort of this vampiric character, Coolio came to mind.
I just thought the collaboration would be incredible.
We're going to be doing our feeble attempt at white bread rap.
Hold up, homie! You can't be tripping, you can't be putting that slipping and whipping up in your living. You better stand tall. Who you was born to ball, just a little ball, and now you want to end it all.
That's history right there. That's oil and water mixing together.
When two teenage kids from Corona, Queens met in the early 80s at the height of the hip-hop era, no one could have known their bad-to-the-bone music roots would hurl them from hip-hop's underground to the top of their game. But the Beatnuts' undisputed talent, relentless drive, and refusal to follow the norm has catapulted them to a hip-hop class all their own.
What up, Duco? You know, politic and pop it to go. I'm out here watching for Jay, getting the salute, don't shoot, bro. I got a waterproof suit, yo, swerving like an AKA in Beirut, yo.
In the 80s, they were mix-making masters of the underground, producing a network of outcast rap acts whose raw, uncut lyrics were deemed too brash for radio station playlists. But the Beatnuts soared to fame as artists in their own right in 1993 with the release of their controversial debut album. Since then, the unstoppable Colombian and Puerto Rican duo have released 3 more albums. Though one member short of their original team, their latest album entitled Musical Massacre is in stores now. We sat down with the Beatnut Psycho Les, who reminisced about his early years in hip-hop and its evolution.
I get fucked every day, I got nothing else to do. I'm getting drunk with the fellas till the night is through. And when the night is through, I won't have a Uber, but tomorrow brings...
Well, working with the Jungle Brothers back in the days was like a you know, like a mad experience, because we learned a lot. We was in the back, you know, just learning and watching, giving in our inputs too. So, you know, just from that, we got to work with this kid that they was working with, Chi Ali, back in the days. And, you know, that's how we got our deal. You know, so what happened with the Jungle Brothers, we're doing that now, you know? It's like now we're the Beatnuts.
When I'm in Norway, you know what I wanna hear. When I'm out in Paris, you know what I wanna hear.
The Beatnuts quite often try to sample records that no one's ever thought to sample before and create new sounds and push the music forward. And for that reason, I feel that they're a seminal hip-hop group of the 90s.
So now we got our boys that's in the backgrounds in the studio, just like we used to be, you know. So now, you know, that's what it's all about, just taking people to the next step.
Something the Beatnuts have been doing since descending into the hip-hop underground nearly 2 decades ago, where a booming subculture of independent rappers, MCs, and DJs continue to thrive.
The wicked psycho blast drops her like a lunatic steady. Back breaking meters with my super cats on the gym. Sometimes I done in them St. Eyes, smoked up their eyes, then I pin them down.
Despite the fact that you have artists that are selling well into the millions, we're not fully accepted by American society. So in a way, that's a good thing because, I mean, we're anti-establishment and probably always will be. So in a sense, that is underground.
Remember, styles I drop, tell me what is it?
Beatnuts is like, we're still an underground, you know, real underground. But, you know, we're working our way up there.
Hey, yo, my song's on, I gotta get my brub on. Order 3 buckets of mama, we getting more dough off the book. You getting jelly? Pulling more, off the look. You getting jelly?
Judging from the success of their latest single, Up is exactly where they're headed. Up next, the legendary god of the turntable, Bobbito Garcia, spins some knowledge on the glory days of hip-hop.
It's simple mathematics, you gotta love us.
And be sure to stay tuned for Fat Joe and his Terror Squad, later on Viva. What rapper held the nickname Son of Curtis Blow? Was it Puff Daddy, Busta Rhymes, or DJ Run? The answer when Viva returns. As a member of one of the hottest rap groups of the 80s, DJ Run of Run DMC once held the nickname Son of Curtis Blow. Back when the visionary Sugar Hill Gang was taking the hip-hop sound nationwide and gaining throngs of fans along the way, it was the venerable DJ at the heart of it all.
With a hip-hop, the hippie to the hip of the hip-hop, you don't stop the rocker to the bang, bang, boogie, say up, jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat.
You don't stop, rock the rhythm that makes the finger pop. These groundbreaking gatekeepers of hip-hop expanded upon the innovations of hip-hop forefathers like Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash, using turntables, a mixer, and a microphone to revolutionize pop culture.
A lot of the pioneers, the great ones, were Puerto Rican, were Dominican. Ruby D from the Fantastic Four, doing his thing back in, 78, 79. Charlie Chase from the Cold Crush Brothers, 78, 79. DJ Wiz, Disco Wiz. He was one of the first Puerto Rican DJs, coming out of the South Bronx. Mean Machine made a record in 1982 that was all in Spanish, and it was hip-hop, and it was hardcore hip-hop.
In the 90s, a new wave of DJs hit the scene, spinning old school beats along with the fresh new rhymes of rising hip-hop poets.
This is All That, a poetry jazz rap showcase. This is the New York Poets Cafe. And my name is Bobbito. What's up, everybody?
I'm generally known as Bobbito, a.k.a. DJ Cucumber Slice. Most of my friends don't speak Spanish, and when they would come over to my house, when I lived with my dad, he would always call me Papito. So they started calling me Bobbito. It's like whenever I tell someone who's Latin my nickname, they're always like, oh, Bobito, like little Bobo. And I'm like, no, I'm not a little stupid kid.
Bobbito, to me, is a champion for the cause. I've always felt, from reading his columns and seeing the work he's done in hip-hop, that his whole thing has always been to perpetuate the culture. Let's keep the culture alive.
And keeping hip-hop culture alive is exactly what renowned DJ Bobbito Garcia has been doing since taking over the mic with his former partner at a college radio station 8 years ago.
I started out as a messenger and worked as a messenger for about 3 months, and then started doing promotions for college radio, club DJs, and mix shows on commercial radio. And then eventually I was also an A&R representative. And then in 1990, in the process of promoting our records, I met a DJ named Stretch Armstrong. And in 1990, we started doing a radio show, and we did that together for 8 years until this past year when we split up.
Luckily, his earlier business ventures paid off. Now Babito pours his energies into the clothing stores he opened 3 years ago, catering to high-profile industry heads and everyday b-boys from around the way.
Babito's Footwork is the official title of the store. We have 2 locations, one in New York and one in Philadelphia. I started this one in 1996, and it was kind of like, okay, I know a whole bunch of kids that have clothing lines that don't have a lot of outlets for them. I know a whole bunch of record collectors who have a whole bunch of records that they would like to sell. And I had the facility, the faculty, and the resource to start a record/clothing store. So the vision of both stores in New York and Philadelphia is to provide to a customer who has a mindset of not looking like everyone else, or just a mindset of wanting to find items that are hard to find.
This graduate of Wesleyan University has even started an independent record label to keep the hip-hop vision fresh.
My record label, I'm continually putting out new artists, you know, with new ideas, and the radio show. It's mostly like unsigned kids and kids with demos and a lot of independent artists. I do a poetry rap showcase at the New York Poets Cafe. Those are all like very oriented towards like up-and-coming people. They're mostly like unsigned artist showcases. What I'm trying to do is just create a resource for people who I feel are presenting hip-hop in the way that I appreciate and the way that should be exposed to the rest of the world.
But Babito still keeps his DJing skills sharp as a member of the Rocksteady crew. He's also a contributing writer to several hip-hop publications. So what's left for this dapper DJ? You guessed it, acting, where he's already appeared in the basketball flick Above the Rim and can be seen in Spike Lee's new joint, Summer of Sam. Next, Lauryn Hill's doing it, so are a host of female rap stars. Coming up, we'll show you why rap's latest LaTiNo is proving she can rock more than a microphone. Stay tuned. Which well-known artist rapped about the people questioning as to why he was hanging out in LA with Filipinos and Latinos? Was it Tupac Shakur, Jay-Z, or Snoop Doggy Dogg? The answer when Viva returns. Brooklyn-born Jay-Z rapped about his life experiences in his CD Hard Knock Life, including the biases for maintaining friendships beyond his community.
We chose each other. You acting like you chose me. They oppose you, they oppose me.
They're the reigning divas of hip-hop. They go by the names of Queen Pen, Yo-Yo, Maya X, or simply as themselves.
Now we can bounce if you want to bounce, ball if you want to ball, play if you want to play, floss if you want to floss.
Yet for years, women in rap were merely sex objects.
A lot of them have Latinas in the videos, you know, with the whole, and that kind of to me perpetuates a stereotype.
But some women rappers have had enough and are changing the stereotype.
Our philosophy, possibly speak tongue, beat drums, Abyssinian, Street Baptist, rap this and fine linen. From the beginning, my practice extending across the atlas. I begat this.
Sexy, smart, and unapologetically sassy. These fabulous female MCs are breaking barriers in the male-dominated world of hip-hop.
Lauryn Hill is one of the most incredible lyricists hip-hop has ever seen. Lauryn Hill can rap, and she can sing, and she can combine the two forms, you know what I'm saying? And she can make people dance, and she can make people feel her angst or her joy or whatever she's feeling through her music.
You know, when you find enlightenment, once the lights are turned on, you realize that you've been in the dark for a long time. And when the lights were turned on in my life, I realized that I had been in the dark, and that my entire purpose on earth was to be a servant. And I want to let young people know I want to let young people know that it is not a burden to love him and to represent him. And to be who you are, as fly and as hot and as whatever, and to still love God and to serve him. It's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction.
But these divas are also handling things off stage, where what matters most are the children they come home to after the curtain closes. Hurricane G, the latest Latina lyricist and single mother to grace the scene, tells why being a mom comes first.
Mommy, you're the world's greatest teacher. Please forgive me, I didn't mean to deceive you. And everything you said was gonna happen, happened exactly how you said they would.
My daughter, Lexis, she's 6 years old, and she's my heart. She's everything. She's my whole world right now. And she's the reason why when I go and do a show, I just do the show. If I have to go do a show, I do my show and come home.
Family has always been important to this Brooklyn-born diva, whose real name is Gloria.
Black by popular demand, I expand my hand to the mic and let my mouth hit the flim-flam.
And it's where the popular Hit Squad, of which she was the only female member, broke up in 1990, smashing her dreams of becoming rap's next queen of the Hill. It would be the first in a series of heartbreaking setbacks.
I went and I got myself a deal, and I recorded a whole album on Capitol Records in '93. So I was like, okay, cool. And boom, I get a letter. Capitol Record has folded. The whole urban department is dead. I was like, oh my God.
She refused to accept defeat and got another deal, which saw the release of her first solo CD, All Woman.
You know you love it when I'm riding, making money rhyming. Cause all this male bonding coming from. Oh, now you only come around when you want something.
But she feels the label failed to promote it.
It was pretty hard, too, because at the time, in '97, that he put out the album, the hip-hop scene was very, you know, if you're a girl, you know, you had to have a bikini on and be talking about, you know, fashion and things that, you know, I wasn't into writing about. I was into writing about, you know, issues in the neighborhood and things I've been through myself personally, experiences. That's where I write from the heart. I wasn't used to writing about, you know, Gucci and Prada because I didn't have it like that. And so that had a big impact on the album. Okay, it didn't work out, you know, but that's not gonna stop me.
She recently teamed up with none other than hip-hop grade Puff Daddy. Today, Hurricane G is optimistic about the future, spurred on by the lessons she's learned thus far, and determined to take her all-woman act to the top of the hip-hop game.
Through my experiences, I've been able to capture and write a lot of, you know, interesting things. And, like, I've had a lot of women come to me and tell me thank you and cry and everything because they're like, I went through that, and I didn't know how to get over it. It helped me to, you know, realize that I will and can get over it, and I feel so much better about myself now, and that's the blessing in it for me.
Yeah, I'm ready to sit sex, I flex like Lex Luger, so who's next to get scooped about this roughneck from Cuba?
Up next, we'll talk to the new kid on the block, sexy rap artist Cuban Link. And later, the Don of hip-hop we love to love. We'll big it up with rap superstar and hip-hopperpreneur, Fat Joe. Which hip-hop rapper rose to the top of the hip-hop game after being an intern at CBS in New York? Was it Foxy Brown, Missy Elliott, or Lauryn Hill? The answer when Viva returns. After being an intern at CBS in New York, Lauryn Hill skyrocketed to the top of the music world.
And we both got in love with stars.
Now we turn to hip-hop's latest sexy rapper, Cuban Link, and relive his incredible journey. He was a mere child of 5 when his family crossed the treacherous Florida Strait seeking a better life. Cuban Link, then Felix Delgado, was one of over 100,000 Cubans who landed in South Florida in 1980.
I just remember a lot of chaos. And, you know, and I'm just walking up the plank, getting into a boat. Next thing you know, we're in Florida.
Little did they know they would eventually end up in the South Bronx. As they pursued the American dream, rap was the last thing on his mind.
Rap is usually, you know what I'm saying, what a person, the anger, the emotions, you put into it, you know what I'm saying? So if you're in the ghetto, you're stuck in the ghetto and you see nothing, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be mad. You know, your family's poor, you know, your mom's on welfare. You talk about that, you know, that's all you could do, is just keep it real.
It was on these mean streets where he met Fat Joe, the ambitious leader of the posse called Terror Squad.
And it's a group of youth speaking out. As you see Cuban Link, you know, that's our sex symbol. You know what I mean? The girls love him to death. I'm talking about black, white, Hispanic. Everybody loves Cuban Link.
I'm rated X in sex, I flex like Lex Luger. So who's next to get scooped about this roughneck from Cuba? Who do maneuvers like Super Dave? Always with a group of babes, laying mummies out like Sugar Ray.
You giving them a total package of who you are, what you bring to the table, you know, what you've been through. It's coming out your heart, so that's what they buying, really. Probably, you know, the pretty face is involved in their way, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, the girls like you, but mostly I think that they like what you say and what you bring, you know, what's new about you, what the originality of you, yourself.
Cuban Link continues to pursue the American dream while not forgetting his roots.
I want to have a mansion in Florida with a bridge right over to go to Cuba.
With me as I cruise in my Beamer, all the kids in the ghetto call me Don Cartagena, kicking off heat, and you never see me talk to police. So you should know.
They are the Latin lords of hip-hop. Pound for pound, heavyweight rappers Big Pun and Fat Joe are changing the face and sound of rap music, with overall record sales grossing well into the millions.
Can't do it like that. Like that. You can't work the middle, cause it's day too little. But your man can't do it like that. Like that. I make you scream, Papa.
You the best, Dada.
But your man can't do it like that.
Like that.
You can't work the middle, cause it's day too little. But your man can't do it like that.
Like that.
I make you scream, Papa.
You the best,
Parading in the Palladium, all eyes on my presence. Popping the Chris, sporting the chicks, straight out of Essence.
I think one of the more positive things that's happening now is that not only are Latinos being recognized for their artistic talents, they're also being recognized for their ability to make things happen. You know what I'm saying? On the business sense. Fat Joe and his success with Big Pun is one example.
Modesty will get you nowhere, that's why I go there, like letting you know where to buy the new Fat Joe gear. 560, only the squad ride with me, unless you a bad boy, you roll with Puff Diddy.
I used to go to school. Most of the times I would be the only Spanish guy rapping with all the black guys, you know, in lunchtime and battling them and going verse for verse in the contest. And this was just something I loved.
But Fat Joe would have to face his reality.
I've overcome so much, coming from welfare, coming from poverty, growing up in crime, growing up in a lot of things. Then it got to a point where I believed that nobody cared about me. Nobody, you know, nobody cared about nobody where I was from. And the only way to seek power was through violence. So that's what I thrived off of. Little by little, as I was getting older, I started noticing certain things I was doing was wrong. I followed my dream in the rap tip, and God blessed me and gave me opportunity. But the minute that I signed the dotted line, I was like, listen, we're gonna change our life around 100%, and we're gonna do the right thing, and we're gonna take this to take us to where we wanna go. Simple as that.
Run the streets. Now you can't sleep 10 deep. Convoying in the Benji.
Today, Fat Joe has turned his love for hip-hop into a multi-million-dollar empire.
Hey, yo, my word is born. Long as I'm alive, I'ma put it on. Could've gone to jail.
His first act, Big Punisher, took him straight to the top, and he's never looked back.
Punter is incredible. You know, he's a genius. As soon as I heard him, I said, well, this is the guy who I have to use to take me to where I want to go. You know, because I want to do all these things with my career. I wasn't happy with my record label I was in and the way they was marketing and promoting me. I said, so listen, maybe I can't do it personally, but I'm going to live my dream through Pun. So I put all my interests, all my time and focus and determination, and at the same time I had the know-how, the experience, and the leadership to take us to where we wanted to get to. So it was all stuff you learn from that.
What happened next was a dream come true. Big Pun sold more than 1 million copies of his debut album, putting Fat Joe on the map as a talented and well-respected producer. Out of this success came a record deal of his own.
It's simple mathematics, you gotta love us, cause Joey Crack plus A equals a lot of dead.
With his latest album, Don Cartagena, Fat Joe is staking his claim as the Don of rap.
My life has changed drastically, you know, but it's where, you know, this is something you believe in, this is something I believe in, God bless me, and we're gonna try to keep it moving, we're gonna try to keep it going. What I stand for is the youth and letting the kids know that if I could overcome all those problems and all those obstacles, they can also, because just like them, I never had a clue, and I didn't really believe that I could make it like that. I just had a dream, and I went for it.
They call me Joey Crack, my name will never be forgotten.
One of the ways Fat Joe keeps it going is by developing new acts as part of his tenacious Terror Squad, a posse of up-and-coming rappers including Big Pun, Protege, Armageddon, and the sexy Cuban Link.
He hooked up with Joe like 6 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So everything started getting serious. It was like no more of a dream no more. It was just like we could turn this into reality. So Joe made sure that we turned this into reality. He took us under his wing.
Gets things done, and he has a big heart.
A much sought-after musical talent, Fat Joe was the man superstar Jennifer Lopez called on to work her debut album.
Now if I give you me, this is how it's got to be. First of all, I won't take you cheating on me.
And Latin sensation Ricky Martin tapped Joe for his La Vida Loca remix. So, how does a Bronx-bred boy from the projects become a successful artist and entrepreneur? He began rapping at local clubs 8 years ago, before catching the eye of Relativity Records. The cut Flow Joe from his first album impressed hip-hop loyalists, soaring to #1 on Billboard's pop rap chart.
I remember when we used to cheer on the hill, when forest projects used to be Gunsville.
Joe's second LP, Jealous One's Envy, earned him cameos and recordings by his idols, LL Cool J and Raekwon. He used the money he made to open a store in the South Bronx, which he still operates in the neighborhood he grew up in.
I'll take it back to as a little kid. I looked up to the drug dealers, to the number runners, to the pimps, to everything that was going on in the community because, you know, I didn't believe that I can become nothing. In our communities, we don't have no role models telling us. You know, a lot of our communities, we have leaders who are either Uncle Toms or puppets, you know, and just worry about themselves. And a lot of people who do make it out of the community never come back and let the kids know that, you know, you can make it happen. I didn't have no role models or nothing like that. But all this is stuff that every kid, everybody who has a little bit of common sense, a little bit of smart, a little thrive, a little determination, a person who can stay focused, anyone can do it. They just got to make their mind focused that way, and they got to think about it, and they got to also be ready to work.
A challenge these Terror Squad rappers are definitely up for.
Right now it's a squad album. We're just trying to get out there. We're just trying to get noticed.
Spanish kids get busy on the mic. Really, really, really get busy, you know?
Terror Squad, we the real.
So what does the future hold for Latinos in hip-hop?
I think Latinos have gotten respect from those who really know, really understand the history. They've gotten respect. I think they haven't gotten respect from the corporate machine. The corporate machine who felt at a time that, well, how would we put out a Latino rapper? How would we market a Latino rapper? You know, forgetting the fact that, you know, we're the largest minority now. So it's just a matter of putting the record out there. Somebody's going to buy it, trust me.
There's a lot of women who have become very powerful and who have become very successful, and I think it's just beautiful. I big all of them up. And I'm sure that there's a lot more coming, you know. There's a lot more ahead.
We want to stop those people who's thinking that Latino, the Latinos in hip-hop, you know, is just a fad, you know, something that's hot this year and not hot next year. You know, we going for longevity.
Thank you for joining us on Viva. We leave you now with Hurricane G and Puff Daddy in his video, PE 2000.
Oh, I'm supposed to speak Spanish. Check this out. Primo, ¿qué te pasa contigo? Porque tú quieres ser mi enemigo. Porque soy un millonario, tengo los mejores carros y yo ando con mujeres caribeñas, estrellas y muy bellas. Bombas y minifalda, meneando toda esa nalga. O porque tengo soldados con armas que espantan gangas y no le botan nada. So cógelo con calma.
It was a heist so easy they couldn't resist. Now the only problem is making the getaway. Nicolas Cage, Dana Carvey, and John Lovett star in Trapped in Paradise next.
Hurricane.
Yeah, así mismo, papito, eso es lo que yo estoy diciendo. Tú le tienes que enseñar a todos cómo es que va la vaina, tú sabes, porque ellos se pasan hablando de lo que tiene uno, pero lo que no tienen ellos, tantos habladores, son celosos que son toditos manos, quieren guerra, pues toman guerra. Bad boy de corazón.
Número uno del público. Let me ask you what you got against me. Is it my girl or is it the Bentley? Is it my house or maybe it's all three?